L'chaim. L'chaim. On the eve of Pesach, time of our freedom, and there's no freedom like the study of Torah, L'chaim. Especially when it comes to learning Pnimius HaTorah, the inward teachings of the Torah. There is nothing like that to bring real and true freedom. Freedom is not to do what you want. Freedom is to be who you are. That's what freedom is. To be free, to be you, and not someone else. That's real freedom. That's a challenge. When you see Aryeh, he's got the bag. Okay. Thank you. To be who you are. Amazing. And that we come together on a daily basis. No. It was we come together on a daily basis to be free. So we could be truly ourselves. What is truly ourselves? We're here to serve. We're here to do what God needs from us. We're here to be the child that we are of God. That's what we're here. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. I share with you teachings in chapter 41 that's speaking about the basis, the beginning, the core, and the root of what it means to be a divine individual. And that is having a sense of the presence of God. And the sense of presence of God means that there is a fear. Fear not in a negative sense, but in a very healthy sense. Right? When we're all alone and we feel alone, what happens? You do not good things. Feeling alone, being alone. But if you know you're not alone, you're in the presence of a mighty king. Whoa. First of all, you're not gonna have depraved feelings of being alone, because you're not. And not only you won't have depraved feelings of being alone, but you will have a sense of awe, trepidation. You're in front of a great king. Well, all the more so when it comes to the King of Kings, God Almighty. Right? So as we've been learning, this is the intent that we have before we start learning, before we do a mitzvah, before we engage in good stuff. All right, when you study Torah, as we're doing now, or perform commandments, but if you did it with love alone, the love of God, the love of being bonded, attached, connected to God, to cleave to Him. Now, of course, that's wonderful, but that would not be called serving God. There's a mitzvah in the Torah that says, I say so, that you shall serve the Lord your God, meaning serve like a servant. So love is not that of a servant. A servant is out of service, right? A sense of duty. Exactly. Love is not a sense of duty, right? Love is because of the bond and the attachment. So there's a mitzvah though to serve him. And the Zohar gives a metaphor for this is, to be useful to the world, an ox needs to be first harnessed with a yoke, right? Otherwise, hey, what's an ox good for? Just to graze and, be a pleasure seeker, sitting in the sun, eating the grass. That's not useful to the world. It's useful for itself, maybe, pleasurable for itself, but to be useful to the world, right, is, hey, you put a yoke on it. And now can plow. So the same thing is for us to be useful, to be, to be um, that we can serve our purpose is to submit to the yoke of heaven, right? And as Isaiah writes, that every person in their divine service, actually, there's two categories, two levels. There's that of a servant, right, which means the yoke, which is the idea of service, which is the idea of fear/awe, which brings to respect and reverence, right? And then there is the category of a child or a son to a father, right? Our Father in heaven, that does it out of love. We need both. Now, although you might find a son who is also a servant, right? But it's impossible to attain this degree without the prerequisite of a higher level of awe, which we'll get into. We'll get into later. But what comes out over here is really there's two things that are important. We mentioned in chapter 40 that in order that our mitzvah should ascend, that it should have wings, that it should fly and have a divine eternal connection, it needs both love, fear/awe of God is necessary, right? Here, the Alter Rebbe is putting into terms of divine service that is that of a servant, and a son, a child doing it out of love, and a servant doing it out of fear. Again, fear doesn't mean fear of punishment, but fear of the sense of something greater than me that I have to submit to. That's the idea of fear here. Okay, a brief class. Yes, as Davida said, there's no classes tomorrow or the following day because it's 2 days of Yom Tov. Any questions? Whoever can, we're just minutes short of our goal on YouTube. Have 4,000 hours of watched videos. So if you can go there and watch some videos today in preparation. That would be amazing. Go ahead.
So my understanding is that not only from this section of Tanya, but from the other ones, is that it's wise to cultivate sort of the fear, to place primacy on like the fear aspect of it, and like obviously you want both. But if you just had to focus on one, the fear.
Well, as we said, that it's the beginning,
Yeah.
the core, and the root of all divine service is the fear of God, meaning the presence of God, the desire not to be disconnected from God, which will lead to respect, reverence for what He wants from us.
The Son to the Father.
No.
No.
Respect, reverence is a servant.
Is a servant. Okay.
A servant.
Yeah, a servant.
And then there's also the love, which we're going to get into. But we're now speaking about. Thank you. Right. So, yeah. But yes, you see it's developing because now we brought in love, which we didn't bring in before.
Yeah. And at risk of going ahead, and this perhaps is not something you suggest we talk about now, but is it possible for us to cultivate? I understand it's possible for us to cultivate both of those aspects within us, but when we're applying it, should we be focusing on only one aspect, or are these?
I mean, whatever we're learning, let's focus on that probably.
Yeah.
So, if you're learning it, then you want to apply it. So that
Okay.
would be probably the wisest thing is to focus in on what we're learning
Yeah.
and to apply that.
Okay.
And then,
Apply
once
the focus.
whatever the learning is,
Okay.
right? Focusing on that
Mhm.
and apply that. And then, whatever
Okay.
else that we learn, we'll apply it when the time comes,
Okay.
right? That would be, seemingly a wise thing to do. Yeah, very good. All right. I don't see any more. Okay, we're going to go to Rambam now. And again, for those who didn't sell their chametz yet, make sure you sell your chametz. It's getting late. Get your shmur matzah. Passover Seder should not be starting before night time. Here in Montreal, it's 8:20. In other places, depending on when sunset is, about 45 minutes usually after sunset. And most importantly, it should be a Chag Kasher B'Sameach, a wonderful holiday. And thank you all for joining. And we'll